Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Another quick live video today, although I call it quick. Usually not quick. So, as you're aware, I'm doing a few live videos of late. Saves me time on editing on my computer, particularly when your computer's playing up a bit, but I'm just about got it sorted out. So there's a couple of videos I need to edit, but I'll do that through the coming days. So I thought might as well film. I mean, I got a bit of spare time. It's a Saturday, so I don't think I've ever done a live video on a weekend, and so it's the first time, so it'll be interesting to see what numbers we'll get. And also, to be frank, I'm testing out this new accessory that I've got here that's doing the live streaming off my real good camera. So I've tried a different connection today. I'm not going via Wi-Fi. The last few attempts at doing a live feed have failed miserably, particularly with the sound. So I'm now connected via an Ethernet cable. Luckily, I own a cable that I made up years ago that's long enough to reach my router in the house to out the backyard. So instead of going by Wi-Fi, I'm going by Ethernet, because I just want to test to see if the issues I've been having with going live was to do with the Wi-Fi, the built-in Wi-Fi on this device, because it seems to be an issue that started when I updated to the latest firmware. Now, the latest firmware supposedly should be able to allow me to also go live on Facebook. Excuse me. But that doesn't work. I have tried and tried and tried, and I have not been able to broadcast live to Facebook. Eventually, I'll be able to simultaneously go live on both YouTube and Facebook, which is my goal. I'd love to do that. Now, are we on live? Yes, got a few comments coming through here. The Wanderer, Australia. Yeah, I had to do a double take. Was thinking what day it was. Had to check. I know, it's a Saturday. Okay, first time. I should take more attempt in doing some live feeds when most of you guys are not working. No, I'm pretty sure it's a Saturday. I don't know, it wouldn't surprise me if it is Friday. There's been many days where I've just totally lost track what day it is. How you going, Wanderer? Because you guys are not joking. It's not Friday, is it? It is Saturday. Hang on. It's not known that I've been out. Oh, shit. I wasn't kidding. Oh, my gosh. I thought it was Saturday morning. Oh, my gosh. Jeez, it's done it again. As you can see, I lose track. I just got to move the camera up a bit. Hang on, just let me move the camera up a tad, because it's cutting my head off when I'm trying to move a bit closer to the camera. This is all live. Honestly, guys, I thought it was Saturday. So, yep. Definitely Friday. It's Friday, mate. Well, there you go. Come camping this weekend, mate. I'm heading down to Imbleway. Sweet. That would be awesome. Loading up the ute right now, mate. Look, long weekend of camping. Hopefully get plenty of footage. Awesome. Yeah, it's been a little while since I've gone away camping. So, I don't know, any of you guys watched the video I filmed yesterday? I thought, as you might know, I mentioned in the past that I want to try to introduce some more more videos to my YouTube, including videos when I'm out and about showing the local area or wherever I'm visiting, like a bit of a touring vlog as well. That's a goal eventually, is to have an ongoing video when I start to be able to travel a bit more, to do a little bit more touring, hence the touring in Phil's Camping and Touring. So it's not just about camping, it's about touring, going different places, having a look. So kind of mixing up the videos. Still going to do plenty of review videos. In fact, I'm working, got some cracker ones coming up soon, guys, in the future. I won't say anything about it right now because it's in the planning stages, but it's all to do with your 12-volt setup in the vehicle and comparing different batteries. So I might have an opportunity soon to compare some batteries side by side, lithium batteries side by side, right here in my vehicle with the exact same setup. It's just a simple matter of me. It's just removing this shelf here, which is just screwed in place, and then I've got access to my battery, and then from there I can connect different batteries and run different load tests. And in fact, we're going to run a load test today. You can see here I've got my little Taste the Difference air fryer here, which is 1000 watt. I tried to look for something that's 850 watt, because you might have noticed Dan was looking for something that's as close to 1000 watts as possible to run on his system inside his Land Cruiser, which is exactly the same Victron gear I've got here, except for the battery. He's got one of the Powerpool Scout 12 volt 280 amp batteries with a continuous discharge of 250 amps and active balancer built in as well. And he ran the test and he's given me the figures of that test shown on the screen here. Well, I wanted to run the test of something at 850, but I quickly looked around, I couldn't find anything, so I might have to just go different sort of chargers, etc., and plug them in until I get a load at 850, because I want to see at 850 or even 1000 watts what the voltage is on these iTech 120X batteries, because I think as soon as you put a bit of load on them, they lose voltage. And then what happens with lower voltage, if you're watching my videos in the past, you'll know what I'm talking about here, so I don't know if I need to go through all that again in too much detail. But you know, the lower the voltage, then to produce the same energy, it's going to need more amps. It puts more load on your inverter, more load on your battery. If your volts are lower, the lower the voltage is, the more load to produce the same energy for your 240 volt appliances. And so I thought, why not do a live feed? And while we do that, also check this. Now, practically just about every live feed since the firmware update on this thing here, the sound has been really poor and really crackling. Now, what's the sound like today? Is the sound a lot better? Now, I've also turned the gain down on my mic. I've had the gain turned up to plus 20. So, which means I wonder if I stand back here, can you still hear me okay? So if someone comments, is the sound still crackling? I just wonder if maybe I've had the gain turned up too high on my live feeds, or if it's the weaker signal in the Wi-Fi issues. So let's have a look. Wow, we've got a few comments coming through today. Oh, I've just lost the comments. Hang on. Here we go. Wow, guys, thanks for her. This is awesome. We got lots of comments here. Nothing planned. The weather is really crap. Sideways. Okay. Sound is heaps better. Not many crackling, etc. Not many. So that means is it still crackling? Shouldn't be crackling now, because if it is a Wi-Fi or connection issue, I figured it probably is the Wi-Fi, because yeah, I don't know. See, it also could be my router having issues, because it's not just this here, it's other things in the house as well. When I'm on YouTube, whether it's on my phone on Wi-Fi, or whether I'm YouTube on my TV, sometimes I have issues connecting there. So I hope it's not my router. It's not a cheap router, and it's not that old, so I'm kind of fingers crossed that's not the issue. Looks and sounds, to me it seemed like Wi-Fi issues in the past. Yeah, I noticed it seems like we got a good connection, so the picture quality should be a lot clearer, should be a lot better, because I'm connecting directly by Ethernet cable to the router, so that should bypass that issue. Very minute. There was a few when I jumped on earlier, very minute compared to the others in the past. Yeah, that's strange. That's strange. Because I'm pretty sure I'll have to go back and watch it later, but I'll have to check if the sound issue was here. If it was, I never noticed it before I done the latest firmware upgrade. I'll have to look and see when I done the firmware upgrade, so that'll be interesting. The brightness light is better now you're under the awning. Okay, yeah, I've just I've turned the exposure down by about 1.5 stops. I was watching some of the other videos and it seemed like they were either overexposed or underexposed. So this external recorder does have an awesome feature where I can... Actually, has that done anything? Is there anything weird with the colors come up when I've done this? Because this has got a really good feature that it actually helps you with adjusting the exposure correctly. And what it does is, I'm not sure what it's called, but it's like a grayscale in color. So what's in gray, if you can see, if you can see what I'm seeing on the screen now, that would be awesome, because you'll be able to see all these different weird colors. But it's a color scale, and you can see, you'll probably see the scale on the left if you can see what I am. And what's grey is actually ideal exposure, and what's really bright or red, like these bits here that are red, they're overexposed drastically. And we've got a little bit of highlight just there, so it shows the highlight. Can you, the highlights shows in red. Can you see that? I'll turn that off. I'm curious to see if that actually comes through. No, that's good. White balance is good too, is it? Oh, that's interesting, because I still left the white balance on auto. I did go through the menu. I pushed a menu button on this the other day, and I thought, no, I'm not going to spend the next hour on the book figuring all this out. Honestly, if you go into the menu in this camera, there are literally hundreds of pages under different sub-menus. You've got a main menu. It's about 7 or 8 or 10 main menus. And then under that, you got another sub-menu, and probably at least up to 10 sub-menus in those under the main menus, which is about 10 there. So you got another addition 7 or 10 underneath that. And inside each of those sub-menus, you got anywhere up to like 7 or 8 pages with about 5 different settings on each page under those sub-menus. So there's literally hundreds of configuration, all this stuff on here, and to find what's what, it's just too many, and it's just mind-boggling. It's just, so that's when I got these custom modes, and you can set up 2 custom modes. So I went through all the settings and set it up ideally for videography, and it's saved on that. And like I mentioned, 99.9% of the time this is what this camera is used for. But I tell you what, this camera takes an awesome photo, particularly with this beautiful 16 to 35mm f2.8 lens. So I need to start using it more often then. But where I do mainly use it, when I do use it for photography, is to shoot the stars, the Milky Way. This camera is absolutely awesome for nighttime imagery photography. It's absolutely blows you away. I don't know if you've seen some of my nighttime shots of late that I've been posting up here and there on my Facebook page and groups and so on, of some of the night scenes at night camping with a beautiful clear sky, even if there's a few clouds around, and the Milky Way, and have a look and see how that turns out. It's unbelievable. And basically they're around 20-25 second exposures, 16mm at f2.8, and then I focus on the distant stars, and then I set the lens at, what is it, about f11, f12 or something? I don't know, I can't remember. And then I shoot it all in raw mode, so that way when I go back home, when I shoot in raw, I can adjust the colors to suit then, and then I just manipulate the colors a bit. But what I do is I do photo stacking. If you have a look at some of the photos where I've got in the foreground, and I've got a vehicle in the foreground that's got a nice glowing light. Some of those photos have taken about 15 to 20 images to create that. So you've got to have a sturdy tripod, you've got to have a remote control, and I use a little torch. So actually I might have it in here. I use a very low powered torch. Can you still hear me back from here? Because I turned the gain down on my mic. See, I'm not sure if the torch is in here. I remember seeing it somewhere the other day. And I've got to remember where I saw it. It's either in here or in my bedroom. Yeah, okay, I'm not too sure, but let's just say, I mean, this is one of my little torches here, but even this is too powerful. But someone sent me a torch, and it's got all these different colour filters on it. You just hit these buttons and you've got different filters on it. So it's a low powered torch, and then you hit a button, it comes up like an orangey or yellow light, and that's what I use, a warm colour. And then what you do, you basically turn your torch on, and you just go like this, and then turn it off, and that's it. And then I move to another spot, like if I want a bit of backlighting on the vehicle in the foreground, then I'll go behind it. So I'm pretending, say pretending that's the vehicle. Then I'll get the torch and I'll go like this, bang, that's it. And I'll work around the side, or go under, or go inside. I might turn it on red and have it look like it's red inside. So you'll see a prime example of that if you see one of the photos that I captured with a really old, like a Chevy truck in the foreground. That's how I did that, all with different colours. So it's got to be really, really weak light, hardly put any light out at all. So what you do is you first, these are great torch, I've owned this for years. This is a Phoenix LD22, love this torch, one of my favourites. Absolutely awesome. Where's a good spot to put that now? Right here, that'll do. Love this drawer. As you can see, I don't need to take the trays out if I don't want to. Well, you can't see actually. There's no point showing this. But yeah, that drawer's been better than I ever expected it to be. And then what you do, see, a first photo I take is exposed for the stars, so I actually focus on the stars. And then from there, then I then, yeah, actually, no, the stars I don't shoot at f11, sorry. I shoot the stars at f2.8. Because when you're doing night photography, anything longer exposure than 20-25 seconds for a 16mm lens, if you're using a lens that's 20, 24 or even more, I suggest never go anything above 24. You want a 24mm or below, ideally below 20mm if you want to get into these awesome nighttime photography with the Milky Ways and your camping gear in the foreground and so on. So you set that at f2.8, it's 16mm, and at 16mm, anything more than 25 seconds exposure time, you're going to get a star trail. You'll get the lines, and I don't like the lines. Some people purposely look for that line, that star trail, but I think it just looks weird. It just looks so out of place. It doesn't look natural. It's just, wow, it's not me. I never attempt that. I don't do it. And I try to do everything possibly to avoid the star trails. And to do that, if you're using a 16mm f2.8 lens on a full frame, it's got to be a full frame camera. So if it's one of those APS-Cs or the compact ones, it's got the smaller frame in it, the smaller sensor, so it has to be a full frame sensor, then your 16mm is not going to be 16mm anymore. It's going to end up being 24mm or something, whatever, depending on the camera. So you really need that full frame. If you don't have a full frame, then you need to look for something like a 10mm to 16mm lens or something like that. And you can get them. I have noticed some of the APS-C cameras that Sony makes, they do have a 10 to 16mm lens. Although the lens is not of very good quality, and I'm not sure what the f-stop is. So you want something that's f2.8 or less. Otherwise, you're not going to get any really good results out of it. And then after you've captured that photos of the stars, then you close the lens down. You set it about f11 or so, about f8, so that way, and then focus on your foreground subject. Make sure you don't move the camera. It's got to stay exactly where it is, so you need a really good solid heavy duty tripod to make sure it doesn't move. And then after you set that, and then you use the remote control, and then you just walk around the car, boop, 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 taking a series of photos. Now obviously you're going to come up on the photo, but that's where Photoshop comes into it. Using Photoshop, all the magic, everything it does, the different layers, you can dodge out, or burn or dodge, I think it's dodge out different areas of each layer. So you go to one layer and I'll dodge out myself, and I'll go to another layer, dodge out myself, blah, blah, so on, and then you just join them all together and you come up with that single image, like that Chevy photo that I've got, and even some of the camping photos and some of the camping locations I've done. So that's how you do that. Let me see the comments, and then shortly we're going to try 1000-watt load on my system and see what specs is coming out of this battery here. The brightness is better now. Awesome. Good. Color is good. A bit brighter would be good. Sound is good back there too. Awesome. That's good. That's good. And I notice we haven't been cutting out. There's no crackling, is there? So, alright, hopefully I might have to look into me modem router by the looks of it, with the issues that I'm having. Could be to do with that. I hope not. So maybe just a reset and go from there. So, you would have been watching my video. It's quite popular on Dan's Land Cruiser 200. And I have spoken about this before. I'm meaning to do a video on it and showing the difference in consumption, etc., you know, compared to the test that's Dan done. And in fact, let's go back. Oh, did I close that? No, I didn't. Alright, let's bring up, let me see if I can bring up the data that he did for me on the 850 watts. So he recorded it, he did a screen capture on his phone, and let me see if I can find it. There's one here, 147, okay, that's interesting. Okay, this one here in particular, if I can go full screen, if you have a look at this one here, this is one of Dan running his air fryer, 1550 watt air fryer on his Land Cruiser 200, which is exactly the same setup in mine. The Victron gear's got exactly the same except a different battery. And you can see there the voltage is at 12.87, 146 amps, okay, 1888 watts, because probably got some chargers running or something or whatever without there, wouldn't surprise me. But notice that, the voltage and the amps. When I run the same 1550, when I run the same thing on my setup, but it's exactly the same, okay, exactly the same, what he's using, the spitting image of what I've got. He's even using the Egon DC hub, although that makes no difference in this situation because that's a DC, that's 12 volt. So we're talking 12 volt, 240 volt loads, etc. And so he's got the same multi-plus, he's got the same links distributor, he's got the same shunt, he's got everything's the same, exactly the same, except the only difference is the battery. So he's using the Scout 280 amp with the Daly 250 amp BMS, which is a continuous 250 amp draw back BMS, and he's also includes, he's mounted them with an active balancer as well, and good quality sails, really good sails, and really thick cables, guys. He's using, I think he's using 50 or 70 mil cables inside his batteries. Now, I'm not sure what's inside here. I don't know what's in here, but I've got a bit of an idea now. I was watching YouTube last night, as I do most times. I watch more YouTube than live TV. And I was watching that. And you know how you got your suggested videos pop up? It's funny, just out of the blue, a video popped up that was filmed a year ago. So to be about the same, because this one here, what's it, about a year old, isn't it? Just over a year old. So someone did film a video, and they pulled this apart and showed what's inside. So I couldn't believe it, couldn't believe it. Just it popped up as a suggested video. Man, I can't tell, I must have watched it about 20 times since, because it's only a short 16 minute, I wish it was 16 minutes. It's only a short 16-second video time lapse of pulling apart. Now, can't figure out from there what exactly the sails are, what the BMS is, because he's got the camera back a bit, okay, and he's not got it right up close to the battery. But one thing I did see was the cable thickness, and it was probably no thicker than my little finger. Whereas the cables in the Scout are 50 or 70 mil thick, and they're only short runs like that. So, and in fact, the negative inside these batteries, the negatives are no thicker than a pencil. I think it's even thinner than a pencil. So, yeah, probably can't vouch 100%. Probably, I'd say, yeah, the reason why the volts are lower on this than they are on some of the other batteries under the same load. Because, quite frankly, I don't think the cable's thick enough inside this. So, yeah, really interesting. In fact, unfortunately, the photos are on the other phone, but I'm curious to see if they've transferred over to this phone, if I have them on here, and I can share some of the photos of the guts inside. Oh, very rare to see inside one of these, and something that iTech World go to extreme lengths to hide these info from us. So I have to be careful what I say here, because as I mentioned before, anyone that's got anything negative to say about them, about these batteries, they're hit with a legal claim, or they ring you up and abuse you, which I notice has happened. Now, let me see, just bear with me, guys. No, unfortunately I don't have the images on here. Oh, it is